Folks, in my 20 years in the league, I've never seen anything like this. What I'm about to reveal could shake the foundation of the NFL in ways you never imagined. Something is happening behind the scenes, something so clandestine, so explosive, that it's almost surreal. I've dug into sources, sifted through whispers, analyzed every film clip, and cross-checked every league whisper and insider rumor. Trust me when I say, what you're about to learn isn't just a trade rumor. It's a seismic shift on the verge of exploding onto the scene, and only a select few know the full story. And here's the truth. What I've uncovered could be the biggest move in NFL history in nearly a decade. Is the league preparing its next game changer? You better believe it. But first, if you're serious about getting the truth, if you want to be one step ahead of everyone else, then hit that subscribe button, smash that like, and turn on your notifications now. This isn't just some opinion piece. This is insider intel, exclusive and raw. If you're one of those who's tired of being in the dark, missing out on the real story, then make sure you're locked in with me. Because what I'm about to break down might just change the way you see the NFL forever. Only those tuned in will truly understand what's coming. Now, let's get into the deepest, darkest corners of this story. Let's start with the team at the center of this storm, the Washington Commanders. There's no denying that the 2025 season was a disaster, an absolute collapse, and if you've been watching them closely, you know it's more than just bad luck. It's structural. After a promising 2024 run that saw them push through the playoffs and challenge the NFC elite, they sank to an embarrassing 5-12 record. The defense was a sieve, ranking last in yards allowed, giving up more points than anyone else, while the offense, despite flashes from Jaden Daniels, struggled to keep pace. The entire organization felt the ground shake beneath their feet as owner Josh Harris faced the brutal reality. The team was headed into a rebuild of biblical proportions. That's where the insiders are whispering, ears to the ground, covert meetings behind closed doors, and whispers from the highest levels of the league that all center around one name: Lucas Van Ness. You see, Van Ness isn't just any defensive end. No, this is a player who, despite limited snaps in his NFL career so far, has scouts and coaching legends salivating. I've watched him on film, broken down his every move, scrutinized his metrics. He's a freak of nature. But what makes this story explosively unique? Because Van Ness is playing for the Green Bay Packers, an organization notorious for being cautious, methodical, and fiercely protective of their assets. Yet, out of nowhere, the whispers are mounting. Rumors are swirling that the Commanders are about to make an all-in move, pursuing a trade to bring the Iowa product to D.C. in a blockbuster deal. The question is, why and how? Let me build that picture for you. For years, Washington's front office has been searching for that elusive game-changing edge rusher, someone who can elevate the entire defense, impose their will on the game, and restore the franchise's credibility. Remember, they just finished a season that saw their D rank so low it's hard to describe. A complete overhaul is imminent. They've been looking at all options: veterans, free agents, draft picks, but from sources, the pulse has been pounding around one player, Lucas Van Ness. Physically, he's the prototype. At 6'5", about 270 pounds, raw but explosive, Van Ness combines a motor that never quits with rare burst off the line. The film doesn't lie. His ability to explode past blockers, bend the edge, and threaten quarterbacks with relentless pressure makes him stand apart from his peers. Plus, his recent stats back it up. In 2025, despite playing just 263 snaps, he generated 23 pressures, almost a pressure per 11 snaps, an eye-popping rate in today's NFL. For context, among the league's top pass rushers, that's comparable to premier talents like Myles Garrett or Micah Parsons in terms of efficiency, even if his snap count is lower. And his PFF grade? An impressive 75.5, solid for a player still growing into his role. He's raw but electric, a diamond in the rough waiting to be polished. What the film reveals is his ability to set the edge with purpose, use his hands with ferocity, and convert speed to power seamlessly. Did you see the late-season surge? His pressures in critical moments showed a player with the mindset of a future superstar. Aggressive, relentless, hungry. The league insiders are whispering that the Commanders see him as the one piece that could turbocharge their defense literally overnight. A young, ascending star who could alter their entire scheme. take them from 32nd in yards allowed to top 10. The question is, how does a team like the Packers, famously cautious about their rising talents, even consider trading Van Ness? The answer lies in the mechanics of the deal, the league's politics, and the strategic moves that only an insider can truly grasp. Now let's tear into how this trade might actually happen. It's not just about throwing in a few draft picks and calling it a day. No, the NFL's trade machinery, especially for a player like Van Ness, requires intricate cap gymnastics, strategic negotiations, and a clear win for both sides. From what I've gathered, the Packers are open to moving him, especially if the deal aligns with their long-term plans and draft assets. But the key, it's not just about a first-round pick. The Commanders would likely need to include a high-value pick, probably a 2026 first-rounder in the 20s, plus a second or third-rounder and possibly a player or two to sweeten the pot. Cap-wise, it gets even more complicated. Van Ness's rookie deal is manageable. Signing as the 13th overall pick, he's on an affordable rookie salary, with a fifth-year option set at nearly $15 million for 2027. If the Commanders want him this season, they must absorb his contract or restructure. Rumors suggest the Packers might agree if Washington offers a multi-year extension or a substantial package that bank on Van Ness's growth. Conversely, the Commanders could leverage the trade to secure a future star on a team-friendly contract, an absolute win for the rebuild. Think about it. Washington could package a 2026 first-rounder, a second-rounder, and maybe a defensive player with upside. Say, a promising linebacker or cornerback. The Packers, seeking cap flexibility, might bite if they see Van Ness as a piece that can help them push into playoff contention with their existing roster. It's a classic win-win, or so it seems. But here's the kicker. League sources say the real power brokers have been quietly negotiating for weeks, test-driving ideas, running scenarios, and assessing the market, knowing full well that Van Ness's ceiling could turn him into a generational talent. The league whispers suggest that this trade could be announced at the NFL Combine in the coming weeks in a deal that flips expectations overnight. And what about the fit? Does Van Ness suit the Commanders' scheme? Absolutely. Darrant Jones' defense emphasizes aggressive pass rushing from the edges, with a focus on disrupting quarterbacks and collapsing the pocket. Van Ness's style, powerful, explosive, relentless, aligns perfectly with this philosophy. He'd form a formidable duo with Frankie Louvu, adding a dynamic that opponents wouldn't be able to contain. His potential to develop into a double-digit sack threat is tantalizing, especially given his youth and athletic gifts. Now, let's compare him to similar players to give you a clearer picture. Think of Max Crosby, raw, explosive, still developing, but with a relentless motor. Or Micah Parsons, athletic freaks who can play multiple positions but thrive as a pass rusher. Van Ness, with his tools, has that same ceiling, a dominant edge with the ability to impact every game. The league insiders know this type of player doesn't come around often, and when he does, teams pay dearly. So what happens if this deal goes down? The ripple effects will be felt across the league. The Commanders, with this move, send a message. They're all in on rebuilding with young, explosive talent. The Packers, on the other hand, get cap relief and a chance to replenish their draft stock, maybe even set the stage for a future star who might be more polished in a year or two. Everyone wins, except the teams left behind scrambling for answers. But here's where it gets even more dramatic. Rumors from well-placed sources suggest that this isn't just about a single player. There's talk of a broader strategy, possibly involving multiple moves, acquisitions, or even a future star linebacker being dangled as part of a bigger package. The league is watching, and what's happening now could reshape the entire NFC landscape. Now, let's analyze the scheme fit and future impact. Van Ness isn't just a pass rusher. He's a defensive weapon. His versatility allows him to play multiple roles on the line, and with the right coaching, he could become a perennial Pro Bowler. His athletic profile, combined with his relentless motor, makes him ideal for a scheme that emphasizes scheme versatility and aggressive attacking. Compared to players like Joey Bosa or Myles Garrett, Van Ness has the raw tools but still needs refinement. The good news? His development trajectory points upward. At just 24, he's entering his prime, and with a high-quality coaching staff, he could develop into a true cornerstone. The Commanders, with their talented but underperforming defense, see him as a franchise-altering piece, someone capable of transforming their pass rush from a liability into a weapon. In terms of worst-case scenarios, he could struggle with consistency early on, injuries or fit issues, delaying his impact. But even then, his athleticism alone will keep him in the conversation. The best case. He becomes an all-pro, a disruptive force who commands double teams, elevates the entire front seven, and helps the Commanders return to playoff prominence. This trade, if it happens, will be remembered as the moment the Commanders finally unlocked their potential, an injection of youthful talent that could revitalize their entire identity on defense. It's a gamble, yes, but it's a calculated one that, if executed correctly, will elevate both teams. Finally, what should you be watching for? The league insiders suggest that the negotiations are reaching a fever pitch. Keep an eye on the coming weeks, NFL Combine, team meetings, and league insiders whispering about big moves. Sources say the Packers are deeply considering it, especially if the right deal lands on their desk, and the Commanders are pushing hard. The anticipation builds as both sides feel the pressure to execute before the draft. This could happen any day now, and when it does, it will reshape the entire NFL landscape. Mark my words, this is just the beginning of a saga that will define the 2026 season. The NFL's biggest secret is about to be revealed, and the ripple effects will echo for years to come. Stay tuned, stay vigilant, because in this league, the next big move is usually hidden right around the corner. And when it lands, only the most prepared will grasp the full magnitude of what just happened. This isn't speculation. This is reality coming into focus. The league is watching, the players are preparing, and the time for blockbuster moves is upon us. Are you ready for the ride? Because what's coming next will be nothing short of legendary.